Hi everyone, my name is Jen. Welcome back to Pretty Little Garden. I am a home gardener and I'm based in Western New York, Zone 6B. And in today's video, I'm just going to be discussing 5 different annuals that I really enjoyed having in my garden over this past garden season. So while there's snow on the ground and it's chilly outside, I'm just taking this time to do the best I can to prepare for this upcoming garden season. And I can't get started without pointing out my beautiful amaryllis. They are gorgeous. They're from Colorblaze. This one here is actually called Candy Cream. This one here is called Strong King. And I do have another one that's also blooming, a beautiful wine color, deep wine color. That one's called Mandela. And they are a trio from Colorblaze. They're called Just Dessert. And I'm so happy that I potted them up after Christmas. It was actually right before Christmas, but to bloom after the holiday season, because it just gives you something beautiful to look forward to in the cold winter months, January and February, when there's not much going on. So over the winter months, I tend to just write things down, actually all season long. This is like my garden journal that I'm currently working in, and it's actually a beautiful faux leather journal. It's a really good size. If you can see, it has a little tree design on the front. I love it. What I like about it is that it's substantial, and when you open it up, it lies flat. I really do like that. And there is like a little ribbon bookmark that you can see that you can use. And I also like the soft closure, so you can just kind of close it up. And I really enjoy that. So I'll make sure to link it in the description box if anyone is interested in that. But I do tend to write down all my thoughts and all my ideas in that notebook. And I was thinking about what I wanted to talk with you about this week. And I'm starting to think about different things that I want to plant in my summer 2025 garden. And I started reflecting back on some of the annuals that I really enjoyed last summer. So I just wanted to share 5 of those with you, and it really can maybe offer some inspiration or some motivation to you depending on your garden and what colors you like, but I'll explain each one and what I like about each particular plant. And the first annual plant that I want to talk about is called the Purple Zion Osteospermum. And you can see it's just has some beautiful vibrant colors to it. The Osteospermum is also called African Daisy, and I really had never planted the Osteospermum before, but they caught my eye when I was shopping for annuals, and what I noticed is that they had several different colors. You can get all kinds of different colors in the Osteospermum category. So the Zion Purple Osteospermum has blooms that are typically large daisy-like flowers, and they come in rich, deep purple hues with a contrasting central disc. And the growth habit tends to be compact and bushy. It reaches around 12 to 18 inches in height and width, and the leaves are lance-shaped and often have a silvery green color. It blooms from spring to early summer and sometimes continues into the fall depending on the climate and care. And what I noticed about the Osteospermum, and then I ended up looking it up, is that it is a cool annual. So it did really well in the beginning of the garden season. Then when we had our hot months, like in July, our mid-peak or our midsummer month, it wasn't doing as well. But then as the temperatures started to cool in August and September, and even into October, and I have to say in my Zone 6B garden into November, that Osteospermum was looking beautiful. And that's what really caught my eye about the Osteospermum. And I had the idea that it might look good in a fall container because it does well in the cooler climate in my zone. So it might be something for you to consider in your garden and maybe even for your fall containers this year. Just a little bit more information about the Zion Purple Osteospermum is that it's a great choice for garden beds, borders, and containers. Its vibrant purple flowers make it an excellent accent plant, and I had it planted up in a container and it did very, very, very well. They thrive in full sun, and that's where it will bloom most abundantly. It also likes well-draining soil, and they are drought tolerant once established. The next annual that I really thought did well in my garden this past garden season was the Luscious Royale Cosmo, and this is what it looks like. It's from Proven Winners. And I really loved this flower. What I liked about it is I felt that it was very low maintenance. It is more of a mounding habit, so it would, fulfill the thriller component of your container if you were, putting together a container. But it also, the word luscious really describes this flower well, because the leaf stayed very luscious looking and green colored. It never faded, and the blooms never faded, whether it was raining and cold, or whether it was sunny and very, very hot and humid. I felt like the Lantana can take those, differing swings of temperature. This particular variety of Lantana or Cosmo had a combination of like an orange peachy color combined with pink, and I thought that was very beautiful, and it played against many other annuals that I had in containers. And it was also a plant that the hummingbirds were attracted to, and it just had some staying power. It was something that I planted in the early summer, and I don't think I took that plant out of its pot until late October, early November. And it was just a plant that looked good despite, whether it was cool and rainy or whether it was extremely hot and humid. The Lantana, especially this particular variety, I felt really had some staying power and, bloomed and thrived beautifully in my garden. I'm just looking down at some of my notes about the Luscious Royale Cosmo Lantana, and I just want to let you know that it blooms from spring through fall, providing extended color to your garden. And in terms of size, it grows 12 to 26 inches in height, 12 to 24 inches in width, and they thrive in full sun, requiring at least 6 hours of direct sunlight, best suited in hardiness zones 9 to 11. So it is an annual in my zone, zone 6B, and that it does attract pollinators. So again, that's the Luscious Royale Cosmo Lantana from Proven Winners. Moving along, the next plant that I want to talk about that was a standout in my 2024 summer garden was the Coleus, known as, it's from the Colorblaze series, and it's called Sedona Sunset. It's from Proven Winners. And I had planted this in previous years and have loved it. This time I had put it in a couple different containers, specifically the container on my front porch, which was right over here, and actually turned out to be my favorite container of the season. I'll make sure to show you some pictures of that, but I had it planted up in a container with another Coleus called Freckles, and that's also from Proven Winners. Another, a nice looking Coleus, but I have to say I do like the Sedona Sunset a little bit more. When I plant them out, the plants are just yay tall. By the end of the season, they are exploding, and what I liked about this particular Coleus is that it lasted through the fall, until the first frost, because the Coleus do not like the frost. They will get killed on that first frost, but the colors were fall in nature. So I didn't have to switch out that pot, for the fall season. It extended from summer to fall for me in my garden. And just a little description about the Colorblaze Sedona Sunset Coleus. It's an ornamental plant known for its vibrant and colorful foliage, and the name Sedona Sunset reflects its stunning sunset-like hues, featuring an array of colors ranging from bright oranges, reds, and yellows to deep purples and greens. The plant's striking color contrast is one of its most appealing features, and I really did notice those colors and appreciate and love those colors in my garden. It has a bushy, upright growth habit, and it can reach up to 2 to 3 feet tall, and you definitely see that in the picture that I'm sharing, with a similar spread. It's often used as a border plant or in containers, and it thrives in bright, indirect sunlight, but can tolerate some direct sun in the early morning or late afternoon. Its hardiness zone is zone 10 to 11, so it is an annual in my zone 6B garden. And that is, again, the Sedona Sunset Coleus from proven winners in the Colorblaze series. And there's several, I'm not sure how many, I want to say maybe 5 or so Coleus that they have in the Colorblaze series. Another Coleus in that Colorblaze series is called Golden Dreams. I am really fond of that Coleus as well, and I usually plant that up in my backyard, in those back planters. I've done those a couple of times in the planters by my sliding glass doors. The next annual I'm going to talk about is another one from Proven Winners, and this is one that has been around a long time. It's called Diamond Frost Euphorbia, and to be honest, I'm just getting on the Diamond Frost Euphorbia bandwagon now. I never really purchased it in years past, but I decided to purchase it this past summer, and I used it in my containers, you know, as a filler, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. What I liked about it is that it just kind of floats on your container. What I like about the Diamond Frost Euphorbia is, and I'll just read the description here, it has small white, almost translucent flowers that create a frosty effect. The foliage is light green, fine textured, and somewhat resembles delicate lace, and that's so true. And it has an overall soft cloud-like appearance, and I can definitely attest to that. I planted this in some of my containers in the front, on my front porch, and what I noticed is that, first of all, it remained unchanged no matter the weather, whether it was hot and humid or cold and rainy. It remained unchanged, and it just kind of lightly sits in your container, and it extends itself throughout the container in a light and airy way. And it's true, it does give almost like a frosty effect, and it kind of fills in those gaps with something beautiful and light and almost whimsical. You know, so it really adds a nice finishing touch. If you're looking for something else to kind of fill in your container, throw in a Diamond Frost Euphorbia and you can't go wrong. I really loved that plant in my containers, and I plan to use it again this garden season. The last annual I'm going to talk about today is also from Proven Winners. Mostly all of these were from Proven Winners except for the Osteospermum. This one is the Proven Winners. It's from their Graceful Grasses series, and it's called Curly Whirly. What's interesting about this grass is, like, it's sold as an annual in my zone, but when I look at the tag, it says it's an annual except in zones 5A to 9B. So it's actually, you know, considered a perennial in my zone, but I was learning a little bit more about this grass, and it spreads from rhizomes. And rhizomes are basically stems that are just underneath the ground that send out like shoots or roots, and that's how the plant spreads. And sometimes something that grows from rhizomes can be considered invasive. So that's probably maybe why these are sold as an annual in my area, but you can overwinter them because they're hardy down to 5A. So they can overwinter. So I could actually keep this curly whirly grass over the winter season, and it would survive. So that's good to know. And actually I do still have it. It's actually outside on my front porch in in my fall container that I never took apart. So I can actually show you what it looks like right now. The curly whirly grass is actually a very unique ornamental grass. It has like a corkscrew shape to the grass blade, and it kind of splays out all over the place. So when you plant it in your container, it doesn't go just upright, but all the little corkscrews kind of go out to the side and up, and it extends itself, you know, throughout your container. And I think that's one of the features that I really liked about it. In terms of height and width, let me just make sure I'm getting this right. The height is 12 to 18 inches, and it spreads 16 to 20 inches wide. But like I said, it spreads by rhizomes, which are the underground roots. So it can become a little bit more expansive than just, you know, that width that I gave you if the conditions are right. It also says here that the curly whirly grass thrive in full sun to partial sun, requiring at least 4 to 6 hours of direct sunlight daily. And in terms of watering needs, they prefer moist environments and they tolerate wet soils. And they would, another reason they would do really well in my zone 6B. We have hard clay soil in my area, so clay tends to hang on to water, so that it would also make it an ideal environment, for that grass in our area. But it also likes boggy areas, ponds, and water gardens. It can also adapt to average garden soil if given consistent irrigation. So that is just a little bit of information on the curly whirly grass. Such a fun grass, and I think it's something that looks very interesting and unique, and you don't see something like that too often. So I think it's an excellent choice for containers. And just keep in mind, if you're going to plant it in the landscape, to be aware of the spread by rhizomes, because you might have to be dividing those to keep it down to the size that you prefer in your garden. Well, thanks for joining me today, and I hope that my suggestions, these 5 plants that I talked about today, can offer some inspiration or some motivation for you in your garden. And I'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to leave me a comment, let me know what you think of the plants I discussed today. And also, what are your plans for the summer season? What are the annuals that you have your eye on? Let's help motivate and inspire each other here. I'd love to hear all about it. Have a great day, and I will see everyone very soon. Bye-bye.